of the Northwest, where the reburial process of struggle icon Mr. Moses Kotane is currently underway. I'm not alone. I'm with my colleague, Griselda Lewis.
Well, if you just joined us, a very good morning to you. We're coming to you live, of course, from the Pella Sports Grounds. And for you, it'll be very interesting as well to hear what the SACP's Blade and Nzimande will have to say. Of course, Moses Kotane as well as JB Marks, at the helm of the South African Communist Party at the time of their death. And, interestingly, what President Jacob Zuma would also say a bit later on about the legacy that needs to continue. The legacy, those who don't know perhaps who Moses Kotane was, or even JB Marks. Many of the youth need to be educated about these two struggle stalwarts.
Well, certainly we will be hearing a lot from members of the Tripartite Alliance. As you can see right next to us is the Secretary General of the ANC, sitting alongside the General Secretary of the South African Communist Party. Mr. Mantashe himself, of course, a die-hard communist who penned a piece about a week ago, telling us about what Moses Kotane actually meant to the struggle for liberation here in South Africa. Good morning, Mr. Mantashe, and welcome to this special broadcast.
Morning, Vuyo.
Well, a week ago you penned a piece about the legacy of Moses Kotane and what he actually meant. Take us through again some of the salient points that you were raising in the piece you wrote in ANC Today.
No, the reality of the matter is that Moses Kotane has many attributes that we can learn from. But use of that to put one as the most and the foremost, that of integrity. And he described that integrity as Kotane as a man who would never let you down, as a man who never did anything behind your back, as a man who was incorruptible in politics and in personal life. A man who would be harsh and hurtful, but a person who's never dishonest. And I think we can learn many things from Kotane. And the second one, I won't give you all seven, was the one where human and spirit undermine material conditions. You grow out in a village like this one, you go to school at age 15, you stay there for 2 years, and you go to party schools, and you come up being the longest serving general secretary of the Communist Party, an intellectual indeed who write original concepts and propagate them. And that is what Kotane is all about.
Well, Mr. Mantashe, I think the legacy is what we need to speak of now. The legacy of both Moses Kotane and JB Marks. Plans for that, for not just schools to be built in honor of these two struggle stalwarts. You spoke about founding members the last time that I spoke to you, saying that these were the ones who came even before Nelson Mandela.
No, the reality of the matter is that they were so humble that they influenced many great leaders. But in influencing those great leaders, they never claim credit. And that is the beauty of greatness, that when they were there, they influenced them, they influenced the ANC ideologically and politically without standing in platform and claiming credit for that. That is greatness. And my own view is that these were great leaders indeed. Even when they disagreed, they still appreciated the fact that we disagree, but we're still comrades, we need each other. And shared the same small office, slept in small rooms opposite each other, shared the same symmetry. They are returning back together today. It doesn't mean that they agreed all the time. There were times when they were totally opposed to each other.
In 2015, do we have the caliber of leaders that Moses Kotane and JB Marks came to represent?
Sociologists are very good at that because what is happening now is too soon to predict. So you can't talk of current leaders and try to describe them in comparison to Moses Kotane. That will be the function of sociologists in 10 years' time.
Wow. Griselda Lewis, you do have the General Secretary of the South African Communist Party with you.
Well, thank you very much. You are certainly somebody we're looking forward to speaking to here today, to get their views certainly on. For so many years, for example, we'll talk about Moses Kotane today, 37 years later, Mr. Nzimande. A relief not just for the families, but of course for the SACP as well, given that they were both at the helm of the SACP during the time of their deaths.
It is indeed an important moment for us as the SACP. Of course, for the family in particular, for the return of the remains of Umalum Moses Kotane. He was one of the greatest leaders of our movement. And many people often ask the question, what is a good communist? My answer is often Moses Kotane, that's the answer, a good communist. Why? Because he was unselfishly committed to the cause of the workers and the poor. And in addition to that, they were the ones who were the trailblazers who said, we cannot just say we are confronting capitalist exploitation only in the context of South Africa, but you have to address the issue of the national liberation of the black working class as part of the oppressed black Africans in particular. Those were the ones who actually set the way for that. That is why I'm saying, therefore, Moses Kotane was a good communist, and a good communist has to be in the African National Congress to cement this relationship between the struggle against capitalism and the struggle for national liberation.
Mr. Nzimande, I recall listening to you at the memorial service when you spoke a lot about the challenges that are facing the Tripartite Alliance at this point, and saying that the likes of Moses Kotane and J.B. Marx, not to quote verbatim, but you said would be sort of disappointed, and that lessons need to be taken from these two struggle stalwarts in trying to resolve some of these challenges.
I think there's a lot that they would be happy about. I don't think that we can start by the fact that they would be disappointed. You know, this government has built houses, has built clinics, has expanded free education, has invested trillions of rands into infrastructure. But of course, what they would be disappointed about is the stubbornness of inequality and poverty, largely because of the nature of the economy that we have. We just have to move away from an economy whose primary task is exporting of raw minerals and actually begin to build a productive economy, an industrial economy, a manufacturing economy, which is precisely why the alliance has agreed with the ANC's idea of driving a second, more radical phase of our transition, which means radical change to our economy, including creating a thriving small and medium enterprise sector and cooperatives where larger numbers of people will be able to participate in the economy.
But certainly that also needs to be seen in a place like Pela, for example. In speaking to the community here, we've got the great Moses Kotane who's coming from this area. Certainly development and all those things that you speak of should start here. We have icons coming from here.
Absolutely. This province has lots of minerals. It's the platinum province. But if we can then transform the manner in which the economy is working, that we do not only export raw platinum, but we beneficiate using platinum here, then you'll begin to see a different Northwest, which is beginning to produce finished products here for domestic consumption as well as for export. And this also would be in line with the SACP's own campaign of revitalizing township and village economies. And that is crucial, must be linked to this changing from this economy that is just so controlled and dominated by taking minerals from pit to port. That is what we see as the future. In fact, in honor of Umalum Kotane, we really do need to drive this second, more radical phase so that you don't get companies coming to mine and they leave this place, you know, just with big holes and so on, and there is no development. That is what, as far as we are concerned, which we agree with the ANC on, must happen now.
Thank you very much for your time there. The SACP's played. And Nzimande, let me join my colleague again, Vuyomvo.